Whenever I miss you, I look at my heart because it's the only place I can find you. Isn't that sweet? Just a beautiful, heart-tugging line. And yet, behind those poetic words lies a real-life desire that so many women quietly ask themselves, how do I make a man miss me? Not through games, manipulation, or drama, but in a way that feels honest, deep, and lasting. Ladies, let me tell you this up front. You don't need tricks to be missed. You need value, peace, and purpose. When a woman knows who she is and lives it out with quiet confidence, she doesn't beg to be remembered. She becomes unforgettable. You've probably seen all those "don't text him first" and post-hot pics to make him jealous strategies floating around. But let's be real, how's that working out? Does it bring you closer to the connection you want, or leave you feeling even more disconnected from yourself? Today, we're throwing away the games and diving into 8 simple but powerful truths inspired by the legendary Napoleon Hill. But don't worry, I've simplified them for real-life love. This isn't about philosophy. This is about power, moves from your soul. If you've ever wondered what truly makes a man miss you, not just your body, but your presence, you're in the right place. So hit that like button, tap subscribe, and let's elevate your love game for real. Imagine a woman so in tune with herself, so magnetic in her peace, that even her silence echoes in a man's mind. Be her. Today I want you to comment this affirmation below. I am the missing piece. Say it loud, say it proud, and watch what shifts. Show him, show the universe, and show yourself. Now get ready, because up next, we're unlocking truth number 1. And trust me, it's the one thing that flips the switch from forgettable to can't stop thinking about her. Let's go. Number 1. Know your worth and never discount it. Let's start with something that's more powerful than any make him jealous strategy. Know your worth and never discount it. I know you've heard that before, but let's slow it down and really sit with it. Knowing your worth doesn't mean you're loud about it. It means you're so grounded in who you are, you don't need to prove, perform, or chase. That quiet confidence? That's what lingers in a man's mind when you're not around. Napoleon Hill once said, "You become what you believe." It's a short sentence, but it holds the key to almost every relationship problem we struggle with. If you believe you have to do the most to keep his attention, you'll always feel exhausted and unappreciated. If you believe love is something you have to earn, you'll attract people who make you fight for crumbs. But when you believe truly, deeply, that you are already enough, you'll stop overgiving and start attracting people who see you without needing a presentation. Think of it like this. Imagine you walk into a high-end boutique. The woman behind the counter doesn't chase you around the store saying, "Please, buy this. I swear it's worth it." She stands tall, calm, classy. Why? Because she knows the price reflects the value, and if someone doesn't want to pay it, that's okay. She's not worried. There are buyers who won't even blink at the tag because they know quality when they see it. Sis, you're that boutique, not the clearance rack. Start acting like it. And let's be honest, when we lower our standards just to get chosen, we end up with people who are never ready to meet us where we actually are. That's why it never feels safe. That's why you feel anxious, always guessing if you're enough. So let me say this with love. If you have to shrink to be loved, it's not love, it's survival. And you were not born to survive relationships. You were born to thrive in them. A woman who knows her worth doesn't chase attention. She attracts respect. She's not sitting by the phone waiting on a maybe. She's busy living, growing, glowing, working out, healing, laughing with her friends, focused on purpose. When a man sees that, he doesn't just miss her. He remembers her, admires her, wants to rise to meet her. Now I know what might be popping up in your head right now. But what if I really like him? What if he pulls away and never comes back? Listen, when you know your value, you trust the process. You know that anyone who pulls away and never comes back did you the favor of revealing their capacity. They're not a loss, they're a lesson. Napoleon Hill said, "Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." That includes the ones who ghosted, the ones who breadcrumbed, even the ones you almost built a future with. Each one brought you closer to knowing what doesn't feel like peace, so you could recognize what does. So what's the shift here? It's simple but strong. Be your full self, not your trying to impress himself. Show up as you. Your softness, your quirks, your values, your truth. The realist version of you is the version that gets remembered, respected, and missed. And here's a fun way to practice this today. Think of one part of yourself you've been hiding. Maybe your laugh, your bold opinions, or your love for something random like crime podcasts or ballroom dancing, and bring it out. Even if it's just in a conversation with a friend, let the real you breathe. Repeat this in the comments or write it down somewhere you'll see it. I am never on sale. Say it with a wink if you need to, but mean it, because up next, we're going even deeper. You've learned how knowing your worth makes you unforgettable. But what happens when your presence feels like a breath of fresh air? Get ready, because we're about to talk about the power of peace and how becoming his peace will make him crave you in a way no mind game ever could. Number 2, bring peace, not pressure. Let's talk about something more powerful than looking good in his phone's wallpaper or sending perfectly timed "miss me yet" texts. If you want a man to genuinely miss you, think about you while he's out with his friends or feel a little lost when you're not around. The real key isn't pressure, it's peace. Napoleon Hill said, "No man can succeed in a line of endeavor which he does not like." Now pause. Let's break that down. He's not just talking about business. This applies to relationships too. If every moment with you feels like a stressful board meeting or a courtroom cross-examination, that man will start avoiding the vibe, not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't feel safe or successful in that emotional space. And guess what we all naturally miss? The things that made us feel good. So if your presence feels like calm, joy, and understanding, he'll feel the absence of that even more. Let's make it real. Think about your own day. When you're overwhelmed, do you want to run toward more stress or toward somewhere peaceful where you can relax, take off the emotional armor, and breathe? Exactly. Men are no different. That's why being his peace isn't about silence or perfection. It's about emotional safety. You don't need to say nothing. Just say it with warmth, with softness, and with timing that respects both your needs and his energy. You ever notice how some people can say, "We need to talk," and it sends your stomach into a black hole? Meanwhile, someone else can sit you down and say the same thing in a gentle tone, with eye contact and a loving hand on your knee, and suddenly you're open, even if the conversation is tough. That's the difference between pressure and peace. And peace wins every time. Now, this doesn't mean you're responsible for managing all the emotional weather in the relationship. That's a two-way street. But it does mean you have power. Power in your tone, power in your timing, power in choosing curiosity over criticism. You don't have to walk on eggshells, just walk with grace. Here's a quick example. Let's say he's had a rough day. You can feel it. Instead of jumping straight into "why didn't you text me back?" which, let's be honest, we all feel tempted to do, try this. "Hey, I know you might be tired, just want you to know I'm here if you need anything." That hits different. That's peace. And guess what? that energy sticks. Long after the texts fade, long after the dinner date ends, the way you make him feel lingers. So what's the shift? Let love feel light. You don't have to force depth. It's already there when two people feel emotionally safe. The woman who knows when to speak, how to speak, and when to simply listen, that's the woman who gets missed. And let me say this too, being his peace doesn't mean you sacrifice your peace. In fact, the best way to give him peace is to have it for yourself first. That means filling your own cup through rest, joy, therapy, prayer, dancing in the kitchen, whatever keeps you grounded, because a peaceful woman is magnetic. She doesn't just enter a room, she changes the weather in it. Now breathe in with me. Exhale. Say this in the comments or out loud. I am soft power. Because that's what peace is. Soft, strong, unforgettable. Coming up next, we're talking about a love language most women think they understand, but get wrong more often than they know. Let's tap into his heart in a way that makes him crave you without confusion. You're going to love this one. Stay with me. Number 3, give value based on his needs, not just what feels good to give. You ever give someone a gift you were so excited about, and their reaction was just meh? You spent time, money, thought, and they barely blinked. And you're like, seriously? That scarf had your name written all over it. But here's the truth. Just because it meant a lot to you doesn't mean it meant a lot to them. And that, my love, is exactly what happens in relationships when we love people in the way we understand love instead of the way they do. Napoleon Hill said, "The man who does more than he is paid for will soon be paid for more than he does." Let's flip that into relationship language. When you love a man in the way that feeds his soul, he will feel it, and he'll give more than you even asked for. Why? Because you've tapped into his emotional currency. You're not throwing random flowers into the wind and hoping one lands. You're planting seeds exactly where they grow. Let's get practical. Say your love language is words of affirmation. So you're always hyping him up, complimenting his beard, texting him sweet little poems. You think, I'm showing so much love. But let's say his love language is acts of service. He doesn't care about sweet words if he comes home and the house is chaotic, or his car needs fixing and he's overwhelmed. You're loving with all your heart, but he's not feeling it because you're speaking French and his heart speaks Swahili. You could be giving 100% and he's still emotionally starving. Not because you're not trying, but because you're not speaking in the way he hears love. So what's the solution? Ask, observe, learn. Find out what makes him light up. Is it when you touch his shoulder during a conversation, physical touch? When you surprise him with his favorite snack, gifts? When you give him undivided attention with no phone in sight, quality time? Love doesn't have to be loud, it has to be accurate. Here's a little story. A friend of mine used to bake her man cookies every week. She thought she was being the ultimate loving girlfriend. Turns out, he was on a diet. The cookies were cute, but unwanted calories. What he really appreciated? Her organizing his chaotic work calendar without being asked. One small switch, and suddenly her efforts were received, appreciated, and remembered. That's the difference between noise and value. And don't worry, and this doesn't mean you never get to love him your way. It just means you lead with the language his heart listens to. Because love is a two-way conversation, not a one-woman show. So here's the shift for today. Give value based on his needs, not just what feels good to give. Because when a man feels seen, heard, and understood, you don't just make him happy, you make yourself unforgettable. Say it with me and drop it in the comments if you're bold. I speak his soul. That's the energy. Not loud, not desperate, just aligned and intentional. And guess what? We're just getting started, because up next, we're going to talk about something spicy, how your absence can sometimes speak louder than presence, but only when it's done from a place of power, not pain. Let's go. Number 4, let him feel the gift of your absence. Here's a little secret. Most dating coaches won't tell you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say to a man is nothing at all. Not in a petty, I'll show him kind of way. Not with slammed doors, cold shoulders, or cryptic Instagram stories. No, I'm talking about healthy silence, the kind that's born from peace, not punishment. Napoleon Hill said every adversity brings with it the seed of an equivalent benefit. So let's flip that. Every absence, when it comes from clarity, not chaos, can plant a seed of reflection. And when a man has time to reflect, he often begins to realize your worth in a way he couldn't see when he had constant access to you. Let's get one thing clear. This is not about playing hard to get. This is about being hard to forget. When you step back, not because you're bitter, but because you're balanced, you stop chasing and you start commanding a different kind of attention. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's felt deeply. Picture this, you're always available, always texting first, always fixing things, initiating plans, filling gaps. Slowly, your presence becomes background noise. Sweet maybe, but expected. Now imagine one day you pause, not to punish, not to manipulate, but because the energy isn't being returned and you value your peace. That quiet pause, that creates a void. And where there's a void, there's room for awareness. A man who genuinely values you will feel it. He'll start wondering, where is she? Is she okay? Did I lose something real? That curiosity isn't rooted in fear, it's rooted in respect. Because your absence isn't rejection, it's a reminder I am not to be taken for granted. And for the skeptics in the back thinking, but what if he doesn't notice? Sis, then you needed that silence to show you the truth. Some people only stick around when you overextend yourself. When you stop doing the emotional gymnastics, their exit reveals their intentions. That's not loss, that's clarity. This principle works beyond romance too. Think about a job where you were overworking, always volunteering, always saving the day, until you stopped. Suddenly everyone noticed how much weight you were carrying, but they couldn't see it when you were always saying yes. Sometimes stepping back is how you teach people to step up. So here's your shift. When energy isn't matched, pause, take a breath. Redirect your focus back to you. Let him rise or let him fall, but let it happen without you dragging him. Because the woman who isn't afraid to walk alone, she moves differently. She's not mean, she's meaningful. Say this with a little smirk today. I am the pause that shifts energy. Drop it in the comments, write it on your mirror, tattoo it on your vibe. And next, it gets even better, because now that you've mastered the art of absence, we're going to talk about boundaries disguised as mystery and how being real is so much hotter than being confusing. You ready? Let's unravel the myth of being mysterious and replace it with something far more magnetic. Number 5. Set boundaries without apology. Let's get something straight. A man doesn't miss the woman who let him walk all over her. He misses the one who made him rise up, the one who had standards, who had grace with backbone, who knew her value and moved like it. Sis, if you want to be missed, respected, and remembered, you've got to learn the magic of setting boundaries without apology. Napoleon Hill said, the person who moves with definiteness of purpose marches straight ahead, regardless of what others say. Let's unpack that. If you know your values, your vision, your emotional bottom line, you don't flinch every time someone calls you too much or not enough. You don't edit your soul for convenience. You walk with purpose, with kindness, and when necessary, with the boldness to say no. Let me ask you this. Have you ever bent over backwards for someone, gave them the benefit of the doubt, the second or 10th chance, silenced your needs just to keep the peace? And then it still ended in disappointment. You're not alone. So many of us were taught that loving someone means losing yourself a little. But here's the truth. Real love does not require self-abandonment. And boundaries are not walls, they are invitations. Invitations for people to treat you with the care you already give yourself. Let's take a real-life example. Say a man texts you last minute every Friday night, asking to hang out with no plan. Maybe it flatters you. Maybe you really like him. But deep down, you want a man who plans, who respects your time. The boundary here is simple. I appreciate the invite, but I need more notice for my weekends. Boom. You didn't yell, you didn't shame him. You just gave him a map to how you want to be loved. That one sentence, that's queen energy, calm, clear, non-negotiable. And let me be honest with you, some men will walk away when you set a boundary. Let them, because the right man won't be offended by your standards. He'll respect them and adjust himself accordingly. A man doesn't feel pulled toward a woman who disappears into him. He's drawn to the woman who knows herself, holds her line, and does it all with peace. Here's the shift. Let no be part of your vocabulary. Not a screaming no, not a cold, defensive no, a soft, centered, this doesn't work for me kind of no, that energy. It's magnetic because it's rare. Say this out loud and mean it from your toes to your crown. I am not for everyone. And that's not rejection. That's refinement. And don't forget, boundaries don't just tell others how to treat you. They teach you how to treat yourself. Every time you hold one, you send a message to the universe. I value me. I protect my peace. I choose love that respects my line. Now here's the fun part. We're about to talk about something people love to overhype. Mystery. Should you be mysterious to make a man miss you? Or is there a smarter, more soulful way to create that I can't stop thinking about her energy? Oh, it's good. Stay with me. Number 6. Be willing to walk away, not to prove a point, but to protect your peace. Here's a truth that'll set you free and probably shake your dating life up in the best way. You've got to be willing to walk away, not to prove a point, not to play the I'll show him game, but to protect your peace. That's not petty, that's power. And if you're scared to lose him, chances are you're already losing you. Now I know, Napoleon Hill said, a quitter never wins and a winner never quits. But let's add some wisdom he'd definitely agree with. A smart woman doesn't quit on love. She just knows when to stop negotiating with confusion, because constantly trying to make it work with someone who's no longer meeting you where you deserve, that's not love. That's self-sacrifice. So many women stay in situationships, low-effort relationships, and one-sided dynamics because they think leaving means losing. But real loss is what happens when you abandon your inner peace for external validation. If the price of love is your peace, your sleep, your sanity, your joy, that's not love. That's a leak. Here's the thing. When you truly understand your worth, your energy shifts. You're no longer afraid to walk. And that quiet confidence, oh, that's magnetic, because you're not clinging, you're choosing, you're not begging, you're inviting. And that's when a man starts to feel your value, not just hear about it. Imagine this like a garden. Love is the flower, but peace is the soil. No matter how pretty the petals are, if the soil is toxic or dry, nothing thrives. So if he stops watering the relationship, stop showing up, being consistent, nurturing your heart, you don't scream or chase. You quietly take your roots elsewhere. You let him feel the absence of something life-giving. And trust me, if he values you, he'll feel it like air missing from a room. Now let's address the voice in your head whispering, "But what if he doesn't come back, sis?" Then he was never really there. A man who's meant for you won't require you to lose yourself to keep him. And if he needed to lose you to realize your worth, great. But you were never created to be someone's wake-up call. You were created to be someone's answered prayer. Here's your simple shift today. Detachment is power. You stay by choice, not by fear. That means your love is deep, but not desperate, present, but not pressured. That kind of energy doesn't just get missed, it gets respected. So to wrap it all up, if you want to be truly missed, not just noticed, it's not about games, silence, or strategy. It's about self-worth, peace, clarity, and loving without losing yourself. When you move with purpose, love with confidence, and stay true to your values, you naturally become unforgettable. You don't chase being missed, you embody it. If this spoke to your heart like this video, subscribe for more real talk and share it with a friend who needs this reminder today. You deserve love that feels like peace, not pressure. I'll see you in the next one.